just MailChimped my marketing.
You MailChimped your what?
I MailChimped my marketing with AI to create an effective marketing campaign in minutes.
No, MailChimp and Way.
Yes, MailChimp in Way. Now I can hyper-personalize my campaigns across email and SMS.
You can do all that with MailChimp?
What did I just MailChimp and say?
MailChimp your marketing with the #1 AI-powered email marketing and automation platform, Intuit MailChimp. #1 based on publicly available data on competitors' customers. Plans vary. SMS available as add-ons. Visit MailChimp.com.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. The ToosDay Crue is here, hosted by Stephen LaMonica and Jake Collin. It is a Misfit Nation production that brings powerful stories of grit, resilience, and leadership to life. Stephen is a business leader and YouTube consigliere, ensures the show runs smoothly, providing real-time feedback and maintaining discipline during live broadcasts. Jake, a 25-year Army veteran and former EOD tech. We call him Hurt Locker. We call him Lacey. Offers deep insights from his extensive service, which includes multiple combat deployments and VIP missions around the globe. Together, they welcome guests from diverse backgrounds to share their journeys, inspiring listeners with stories of overcoming adversity and leading with purpose. Whether you're tuning in for the insightful discussions or to enjoy Stephen's passion for NASCAR or Jake's anecdotes from his farm in Kentucky, the ToosDay Crue delivers a unique blend of entertainment and inspiration every week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ToosDay Crue! All right. All right. Hell yeah, it's Tuesday. Time for the crew to take you on a great journey with a great guest. You have listened to the rest. Now join the best as they get you pumped for the second half of your week. It's time. Steven and Jake are in the house. Let's go.
Hey,
we're here.
yeah.
What the hell was that?
I don't know, but I think we ought to have him announcing the next Tyson fight.
Maybe.
How you
I was
doing,
going to ask you
Steve?
if the bourbon kicked in or something, where it was just flashing. How are you, Jake?
I wasn't rough on him today at work, so I don't know what's up.
You know, you gotta baby him. You gotta calm him down.
You doing all right?
Get him food or something.
So, how's your Tuesday been so far?
It's been good. You know, I'm waiting for the rain tomorrow because tomorrow it's supposed to rain. We're saying we're going to get a lot. We need it. We're in a drought. We got wildfires burning all over New Jersey. New Jersey's burning down.
That's something you don't hear very often.
We haven't had rain in months.
Well, let's hope.
Everywhere we turn, there's fire. I walk out of my house. There's not even one close, but the wind brings it. It smells like the world's burning out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
we're praying that it comes and it comes hard.
Well, we'll pray for you as well. Hope you get some rain. Hey, we'd like to welcome everybody to the Misfit Nation ToosDay Crue show. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you were watching a recorded version of this, we would like to thank you for that. Let's talk about our guest a little bit. 28 years service to our great nation. He's an Army veteran, retired officer. Graduated the United States Military Academy, and he played a pivotal role in developing the Army's interpreter and translator program, which I have used countless times on many deployments. And he's also an alumnus of the Deliberate Discomfort Challenge and a member of the Endless Six. He's a history and fiction enthusiast. He's an author. And he's a skilled saxophonist. That's cool. I love me some saxophone. And he lives with his wife and his 4 furry companions. And without any further ado, let's bring on Mr. Frank Demith.
Good evening, Frank. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're
good,
doing.
Thank you. Welcome to Tuesday.
Well, I'm glad it's Tuesday because I haven't been watching the calendar, being retired and everything.
You probably don't even own a watch, do you?
Well, I have to have one of those because I have to figure out what time it is so I know when to take a nap.
Well, usually my clue to take a nap is when I get sleepy.
Yeah, well, sometimes I kind of sleep through my watch and wake up and decide that I don't need another nap because I already took one.
Now,
I'm sitting here right before the show started. My wife was like, "You look like you're gonna fall asleep right now." I'm like, "No, I'll be okay. Relax."
Well, my best one is when I watch a game or something, and my wife come down and check on me, and she'll try to turn it off, and I'll be asleep, and I say, "No, don't turn it off. I'm watching it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Through my eyelids.
Now, were you a commissioned officer or a warrant officer?
I was commissioned. I joined the Army right out of high school. I enlisted.
Oh, okay.
And I was fortunate or unfortunate, whatever it may be. I joined the Army in the mid-'70s, right after the all-volunteer Army started. And there weren't a whole lot of high school grads joining back then. So
No.
I happened to make it through high school. So I was like toward the top of the list. And they made me take a test, and I got accepted to the prep school for West Point. And I spent 10 months there and then moved on to the academy. And God knows how I made it through that. I mean, my God, I look at some of the people I graduated with. I got to pinch myself. I really did it.
Yeah. Now, did you go to the prep school there at Fort Monmouth?
I did. I was just going to say after the intro, I was in New Jersey twice during my career. Once to go to the prep school for 10 months. And boy, that was the best kept secret in the whole Army, Fort Monmouth. What a great place. And then I went back. I got off of active duty in 94, and I immediately went on active guard and reserve, and they sent me to Fort Monmouth again, to a drill sergeant unit that disbanded 8 months after I got there.
Nice. I was fortunate in 2006. There was a unit there at Fort Monmouth that needed plussed up a little bit. So before they deployed, so I run up there for their last 2 or 3 weeks of training and then deployed with them. And I had never been to New Jersey before, and I loved it.
Oh yeah.
It was a great time there.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed being in that part of Jersey. I can't say much about going up to Newark much, but I did enjoy where I was.
That's the area I grew up in. It's beautiful up this way.
Newark?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I had one of the senior officers in the unit I was in. He grew up in Newark, and he was there for the riots as part of the military. And man, he used to talk all kinds of stuff. It was not a pleasant time.
Well, during the riot years, me growing up, I was born in '69. Me growing up, Newark, Jersey City, all that area, not bad. It has its moments, like everybody else. But
now, what did you do for your time in the Army? What was your main job while you was in?
Well, when I graduated from the academy, I started off as an air defense artillery officer, and I went down to Fort Stewart. I missed Grenada by weeks, so I didn't get to go to that. And then after I finished in Fort Stewart, I went back to El Paso and ended up with a Patriot unit, and I was the S4, and with the Patriot units, when they developed and they passed their certification test, they moved en masse, the whole unit, the whole battalion, all the equipment, everything moved as one big unit over to their location in Germany. And man, that was for a logistics guy. That was a nightmare.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
I have no idea how many hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stuff I signed for. I mean, I had to sign for all the real property, the battalion caserne they built us, the initial readiness positions that we had, all the darn missiles and ammunition and launchers and everything, because they come off the railhead, and we had to move them into the unit area. And we had our own battalion caserne. I mean, we were one unit on that whole place. And it was a great experience, but boy, I was happy as Hades to get out of that supply position and make it into a unit.
Oh,
I'm sure. Took over a battery command, and the sad part, I left that unit on the day the air war started in the first Gulf War, and I was one of the only military people on the plane heading the wrong way, heading back to the States. And that just tore me up. I hated to do that.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I tried all I could to get over there, but I spent that war at White Sands Missile Range, chasing all the missiles that they were test firing before they sent them over there.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know there was no ballistic missile capability when that started.
No.
And it became that as a result of that war. And that's how we got into the ballistic missile opportunity. I mean, we never had that when I was working with the Patriot system.
Yeah. So you had your time in the Army.
Yep.
You got out.
Yep.
Decided you was going to, what made you decide you was going to be an author?
Well, that came way later. They let me out in 2007 and I retired. Then they called me back to active duty in 2010 for 2.5 years working in the Pentagon. I was assistant deputy in charge of oversight of all the Army's language and culture programs. And I did that for 2.5 years in the assistant secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs office. And then when I got done with that, I went back to being a contractor.
Man.
And I did that through 2000. Well, they didn't want to let me go, but I decided I wasn't going to shave at the end. And they kind of said, well, you can't come to work with a beard. So it was only supposed to be.
Well,
it was only for 1
nowadays
year.
you can.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was there for that kind of mess too. But anyways, I was there for a year. And I agreed to a year. And then about the 11th month, they came and talked to me and said, hey, we could really use you for another year. I said, oh, okay. So I did a second year. And then at about the 11th month mark again, they called me in and they said, hey, we really need you. We can't afford to keep you unless you're in uniform, but we're doing a good job, oversight of the programs. We want to keep you. And I said, well, I can't do a year. And they said, okay, well, how about 6 months? I said, all right. And wouldn't you know, 5 month mark, hey, no, I'm done. And the bad thing was I loved to serve the country, but I was losing money because when I was working as a contractor, I was drawing my retirement plus my contractor check and my disability. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't draw the retirement money because I was on active duty. Yeah. And thank God the company I worked for gave me a small portion of my contractor pay, but I was losing a lot of money.
Oh, I would imagine so.
But to answer your question that you asked me originally, once I retired fully in 2021, I was sitting and I was kept watching for someone to at least write an article or something about the program that I helped design, the interpreter translator program. And nobody did anything. And it's like, my God, these people are such an asset, and what they did was kind of incredible. But at the same time, it was the same thing that happened through all of the wars our nation's been in. Yes. Immigrants come in and they feel a need to support their new country, and they answer the call. And we had over 1,500 people who were green card holders who spoke Arabic, Dari, Pashto, or Farsi join the Army as interpreter translators, uniformed soldiers, mm-hmm. To go support the units overseas. And I was proud as heck to be the only military person in that group that designed that program. We had a lot of civilian support and contractors, but I was the only person in uniform at the time I was there. There was another person before me that initiated the program and got it off the ground, but it really wasn't, it wasn't the program that it ended up being.
Now, did you just do that for the Middle East, or did you do it for other countries as well? Because I know, like when I was in early on in the mid 90s, when I went to Bosnia and then a little later into Kosovo, we had a pretty robust interpreter system there. Just drawing from local nationals coming in and helping us.
Yeah, I was in Kosovo as a diplomatic observer before the Air Force went in and bombed the place. As a matter of fact, they went in and bombed the place because of the things that we found when we were on the ground. And the funniest thing is when they brought us in to do that, they brought in a handful of military people to work with the State Department folks. And the first thing they told me was no uniform, no ID tags, no ID card, no military gear whatsoever. Grow your hair long and let your facial hair grow. And, and everybody knows why.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were the eyes on the ground that were identifying all the positions for the Serbian army and the police.
Okay.
So I mean, we were the target identifiers before anybody even went in.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we would do in our reports. We'd identify all the positions we found and everything. But we had Kosovar nationals. They weren't Kosovars then. They were just Serbian province of Kosovo. Mm-hmm. And they would work with us as linguists. And at night they would go and work for their friends.
Yes. Yeah, that's generally how that works.
And I still in contact with a handful of them. They send me notes all the time. And the funniest thing is I think at least they were going to, I'm pretty sure they did, but they erected a statue of President Clinton.
I did not know that.
For sending the U.S. into there for the war, when in actuality he probably just did it because he wanted to divert attention from his escapades that he was testifying for in Congress. But I guess it depends on what the definition of is.
Yeah. So says that you're a fan of fiction and history. Is that kind of, what do you write about? What are some of the books that you've written, and what are they about?
Well, my first book was about Kosovo, and it was factual.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it'll never see the light of day because I'll never get it approved because I talk about stuff I just said, and it's not something anybody wants to approve to have in writing. The other one was another factual book, which I kind of didn't finish up. I didn't like the way it was, and I didn't want to start it over again. But my first published book was A Vital Interest. And that's historical fiction. And the characters are based off of people that I had met or had heard of. And I wrote stories about them. None of my characters are one person. They're a combination of different people. So for instance, my protagonist in my book, he's a hard charger, and he always wants to be up front and do things. Well, that came to mind because we had a call one day or a message that came in from some special ops guys that said they'd like to add something to our training. And it's like, okay, what is it? And I said, well, can you please make sure the people at your training understand they can't be the first ones through the door all the time? And evidently there was some hard charging interpreter who always wanted to be the first one through the door. It's like, no, it's like they're an asset. They need to wait. We'll take care of the hard stuff. Then they come in. And so we appreciate the fact that they want to be hard chargers, but we need to save them. They're an asset. So that was my protagonist in the book, is kind of penned after that message.
All right. I got a question here from Mark 48 on X. How did you find your passion to write your award-winning book?
Well, that was it. I sat back and I contemplated whether to write it or not, and I hemmed and hawed and went back and forth, and finally it got to the point where I didn't see anything written about these particular people, and they're great Americans. I mean, they they're the only MOS that knew as soon as they finished, I mean, not days, I mean, as soon as they finished training, they were going to a unit and they were going to deploy, or they were going to deploy to a unit who's already overseas. And that wasn't a question. Every single one of them did that. And they knew it when they enlisted. So, it's almost like the Japanese American units in World War II. I mean, they knew, and they went and they fought, and it was a great thing. And it's the same thing with the Germans and Irish that came over here before the Civil War. And it's just, that's part of what this country does. And it gives such pride to the people who come here that they have a desire to give something back. And that's what they gave back. And I couldn't sit back and watch them not be recognized. So that's why I wrote the first book. Now I originally wanted it to be a trilogy. Now it's going to be a series, and there'll be at least 7 books.
Okay.
In the series.
Wow. That's the training. Is this for all interpreters that
No.
were in Afghanistan?
And there's a big difference. A lot of people, and I didn't understand it either until I started working in this program in the Pentagon. There's a big difference between linguists and interpreters. Anybody who knows the language can be a linguist. Interpretation is a separate skill in and of itself. So most linguists that were supporting the effort, they were native speakers, or they knew the language to a proficiency level where they were able to fulfill part of a contract. But even native speakers who we hired as local hires in the countries, they're not interpreters. There's a lot of training that's involved, and that's what the AIT was for the people in my program. They went to a regular basic training, and then they went to an AIT afterwards, and what they were taught was interpretation skills. And in my book, I go through that in detail, some of the differences and what the training was that they were provided to serve as interpreters, not just linguists.
Okay. All right. I never knew the difference, but now I do.
Well,
so
most people don't, and it's not uncommon. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book. I wrote the book in such a manner that anybody who wants to read it can read it. It's not something that someone who hasn't been in the military can't pick up and read and follow. So I purposely cut out a lot of acronyms, and the ones I use, I explain. I try to make it as down to earth as I could. And the best compliment I got, an individual from Goodreads read it and gave it a 5-star review. And she started out her review by saying, I was hesitant to read this because I don't really read this genre very much. But after reading this fast-paced book, I'm reevaluating what I read. And I'll probably read more military books. And I that brings a tear to an old soldier's eye.
Well,
I'm sure
because you would have to
get
dumb it
somebody
down
other
for
than
me.
Well, and it's something that veterans and even people that are still serving can enjoy, because I put a lot of action into it, and a lot of I have one part that I like in particular where a young lieutenant runs into a salty NCO who has to pull him aside and tell him how things are supposed to work so he doesn't harm himself or his soldiers. And that was fun to write that part. And then it's war, so there's people who don't survive, and that was kind of hard to write. But it's like I said, the whole purpose of writing it was there's a disconnect from the general population and our military. And most of the people in our country don't understand what military people go through when they deploy to a foreign country and go to war. And I wanted to give them a glimpse. And it's nowhere near all the details. And I firmly believe that everybody who has served has a story. And whether or not they choose to sit down and write it, that's their option. That's up to them. But nobody would have ever thought that I'd be an award-winning author. If my parents were still alive, they'd fall out of their chair.
I got another question here from KU369. Have you heard from any Pashto interpreters since the withdrawal?
There's been quite a few local hires, and that's I believe that's who they're talking about, because all the people in my program that went, they came back with their unit. But a sad day in our country's history when we left so many people behind that helped our country try to make where they live a better place. And it's just something that had we had a chance to do it over again, I'm sure we would have done it differently. But the withdrawal from Afghanistan was something that should have been looked at very closely, and all the equipment, and more particularly the people who supported us that were Afghani locals, that we just did not do that correctly.
Okay. So explain to me the Deliberate Discomfort Challenge. I've been waiting
I watched
that question.
I watched your last podcast, parts of it, to get a feel for how the program ran. And the gentleman you had on then, it was almost like he was telling my story, but it was his story. So I did basically the same thing. When I fully retired, the first couple months, I was great. I mean, I was doing all the honey-do list stuff and getting things knocked out. And, every day was working and doing stuff. And then one day I sat and I plopped my backside down on the couch and turned the idiot box on and watched some stupid shows that didn't matter one iota to anything I would ever do. And I turned the computer on and started surfing the internet. And I said, well, it's just one day. Yeah, one day became 2 days, became a week, became 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. And I kind of lost my focus. All of us veterans need to have a purpose. And if you have a purpose and you have something you're working for, you'll not fall prey to the demons that you're fighting inside. Once you lose your purpose, there's room for that to develop. And I was in a very dark place. It's not something I enjoy admitting, but it was very bad. And a classmate of mine posted something on LinkedIn, and it said "Deliberate Discomfort Challenge registration starts or ends in 2 days." And I said, I've known this guy for 40 years. I didn't even look at it. I went to the page, put in all of the information, and hit enter. And the next day, I decided, well, maybe I better look this up and see what I got myself into. And it's a group of special operators, retired, and they set up this program that's 60 days. I mean, 60 straight days. There's no days off. There's no weekends. It's 60 straight days of doing multiple tasks each day. You did aerobic and weightlifting, or some other type of exercise every day. You did valor challenges every Saturday that was on top of everything else, and you had to go through mindfulness. You had to go through meditation. You had to go through journaling. You had to post stuff on the internet. And, just like your previous guest, I was never considered to be a meditation person.
Mm-hmm.
That just wasn't me. But out of all the stuff in that challenge, that was the most beneficial thing I found. And it was just amazing. I was up to the point where I was doing 45 minutes of meditation in one sitting. And
wow,
focused meditation. And, when you break out of that, it's just, my God, you're just clear-minded and focused. And once I did that, that's what gave me the energy to write the book. And I sat down a couple weeks after finishing that. And that's when I finally figured out I'm going to write it, because I kept looking for something. I didn't see anything. You can't even find a footnote on what these soldiers did. And so I sat down and I said, no, I drew out an outline, drew out character sketches, sat down in front of my computer, and 90 days later, I finished the book. So I was writing between 1,000 and 1,500 words a day, and I'm still doing that. My second book, I did the same thing, and I'm working on the third book now. But it's just incredible, because it was like a rebirth. I found my purpose. I'm fully dedicated to it, and not only that, all the other veteran things I'm engaged in now. It's just it's like a new world now for me.
Cool.
Now do you schedule like time to do writing, or just when it hits you, you start writing and you just go until you stop?
Oh, well, I normally try to do in the afternoons, but having 4 dogs, one of them being a puppy, sometimes my schedule gets a little turned around. But I can always count on being able to write in the evening. But
everybody we talk to that writes, we find out, I have to do this, or it's when it hits me. Or I want to see what you're.
Well, it really is better to not force it. And when it hits you, you got to sit down and you have to do it. But I always also found that I write my best when I'm listening to music. And so I listen to the songs, we listened to when we grew up. And I'm not going to call it classic rock, darn it. It's just good music.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the music brings out everything. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can understand that.
Yep.
And for people like Jake.
Well, watch it.
Watch it, Cagney.
Now I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to reading the book, because I know that there was. I never went to Afghanistan. I did all my time in Iraq, but we had one interpreter that he had left Iraq probably 5 or 6 years after the first Gulf War. He fled. He got asylum in the United States. Opened up a car business. He was a mechanic, very successful. And when everything kicked off again, he said he had to give back to the nation that took him. And he came back. And I know, especially when we were working in and around Baghdad, he kept his face covered up. He would not, because, there were still people there that knew him, and he would not go anywhere with his face uncovered. And I really, that takes a lot of stones to do that. And
that's why I wrote this. And I did Iraq first because of what is still happening there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I focused on Iraq first. And the first 2 books are based around Iraq. There'll be a book eventually with Afghanistan, but I need to do more gathering of information before I write that one.
I understand. So how'd you get into saxophone? Did you play in high school, or did that
I
just
played
you did?
grade school.
Okay.
Yeah, 5th grade, I started playing the saxophone. And it's kind of funny because, they always give the kids a little test. And you have to beat on the table or blow through a thing, a little mouthpiece, or do whatever. And I had trouble with my front teeth. I chipped one of them really good. And so the person that was doing the evaluation said, okay, wrote it down. He says, here, you're playing a trombone. So I looked at it and I said, okay. He says, you'll bring this home to your parents and they need to sign it, and then we'll get you a school horn that you can bring home. So I went home and I gave it to my dad, and his favorite musician was Boots Randolph, great tenor saxophone player. And so he looked at it and says, damn trombone, we ain't playing no trombone. So he took the paper, and when we had to go and pick up the instrument, he put the paper on the desk, and the guy looked at it. He says, oh, a trombone. He says, no, a saxophone. He said, but it says, and my dad was a big guy. I mean, he worked in a steel mill. His hands were 3 times the size of mine. And he rolled up his fist. He says, it's a saxophone. And the guy came back with a saxophone.
Nice.
So
it's interesting that you mentioned Boots Randolph, because where I'm sitting right now, I'm about 5 miles from the Boots Randolph golf course, because he's from this area where I'm at in Kentucky.
Cool.
And,
I met him once.
Yeah, I always
He was playing in a place near me. Go ahead.
He's having internet problems, so he's lagging a little bit behind. That's why he keeps jumping. I apologize.
That's no problem. He was playing at an area, and one of my friends of the family, she was a waitress in this hotel that he was staying at. So she had me come over, and she introduced me to him, and he signed a little piece of paper and gave it to me, and that was my inspiration to keep playing.
Now, you play jazz, or what kind of music you like to play?
I play just about everything. One thing I will not play is rap, because it's so boring for a musician. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, my God, doesn't this ever end? And the same thing with disco. I wouldn't touch that with a 5-foot pole. It's not for me.
I understand. So, who's the better saxophone player, you or Bill Clinton?
I'd hate to say that he's better at anything than I am. I can't do that. Except a liar and a womanizer. He's probably a better one of those than I am.
I just had to toss that in there because a comment was made about him one time that after they asked him about smoking marijuana and he said he didn't inhale, somebody made the comment that he plays saxophone like somebody who didn't inhale.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't bad. He was pretty good, but in my best days, he couldn't touch me.
Good deal. Good deal.
I haven't played seriously for probably more than a decade, but when I was playing, Bill Clinton couldn't have never made it into the Army band.
So, aside from your books and stuff, what's next?
Well, I'm still trying to work on things. Trying to set up more book signings and get ready for the release of my next book. My stepbrother just got married a few weeks ago. That was a wonderful ceremony. My God, it's probably the best wedding I've ever been to, but I guess I'm a little biased. other than that, it's just holding down the fort, watching the puppies, taking care of stuff around the house, and waiting for my wife to decide she's tired of working anymore. She still works.
Nice. Now,
I don't know why.
Well, does that keep the marriage happy that one's actually working, one's retired? Because when my mother
from
and
her
father
perspective,
retired,
maybe
we were expecting one of them to go up in a hot dog stand just to get away from the other so they kill each other all the time.
Well, I keep on getting into trouble being here by myself. I bought this little Japanese microvan, and it's 10.5 feet long by 4 feet wide, and it's just under 6 feet tall. And the driver's, of course, the steering wheel, like my other car, is on the right-hand side. And I'm trying to turn it into a camper.
nice.
And the boxes come in from Amazon. She's like, "You got another box for that damn van?" I said, "Well, dear, if you would quit working, I'd have something else to do, but there's my dogs. You're probably chasing a rabbit."
Yeah, it's about time for mine to go out and do that. Couple things. One, if you ever do the PX circuit of book signing and you happen to make it to Fort Campbell, which is the greatest army base in the United States Army, in my opinion, give us a shout, because we'll be there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody out there that would like a book, Amazon normally has them on sale, but they don't beat my price. If anybody wants a book, they can get a signed book from me for less than they can find it just a regular book online.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, I think Amazon is pricing a little high. They have my hardcover book listed for $30. I mean, my God, that's highway robbery. I'd never charge anybody that. I can send them anybody a hardcover book signed, shipped, including postage, for $25.
Well,
and so where can they find you?
They can look up my website. It's frankdemithauthor.com. There you go.
There we go.
And you can reach me. There's an email address at the bottom of that website, and you can send me an email through that website. Just tell me where you're at, and what your address is. I'm not going to try to send you anything that you don't want. I am real. It's me, and we'll work it out. The paperback books I can also provide for $15 signed, shipped. So the paperback, it's closer to the Amazon price. But that's the way it is with the printers. I can't do it and lose money. Doesn't make any sense.
I
Amazon wants to make too much, and you just want to make money.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a millionaire. I just want to cover some of my cost.
Right, you want to get that book out there too.
And I never realized before I started writing and when I was writing, that the hardest part of being an author comes after you write the book. I feel like I'm a car salesman all over again.
I could. Oh, well, hey, Frank, this has been great. And before we wrap this up, give us 3 non-negotiables that you have to do every day. What's 3 things, whether it's to get you ready for writing, or working on your van? What gets you in the mindset to get out and get her done?
Well, every day, the first thing I do is I wake up with my wife, and she has to get up at 4:45 to go to work, and I help with the dogs, let them out, and I will always kiss my wife before she goes to work.
That's the most.
The next thing I do after I feed the dogs is I sit down for 5 or 10 minutes, and I just thank God for giving me another day on earth, because nothing's guaranteed. You have to live every day like it was your last and enjoy it to the fullest. And the last thing I do every day is kiss my wife goodnight.
I tell you, that sounds right there like a recipe for success.
Worked for me. Although this is my third marriage, and my last marriage, I might add. The first two were kind of like test runs, and I had two children with the first marriage, and I love them to pieces. But
I called my first two that they was practice marriages.
Yeah. Had I met my current wife first, there wouldn't have been a second marriage.
Hey, I'm with you on that. I am definitely, if I would have met my current wife that I have right now, I wouldn't have had to deal with the other two.
Well, my second marriage shouldn't have counted, because only one of us was married, and it wasn't her.
Wow. See, this is why I would never get married.
I'll just put it that way.
I've done it once. I'm finished.
Yeah,
I don't understand going up to 3.
I don't know how there's enough hours in a day to do the things she did.
Trust me, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I know. Well, hey, Frank, it has been a great chat. Wish you the best there with your continued writing. Looking forward to cracking those books open and reading them. I love to read, and I will probably be contacting you here probably within the next couple of weeks to get some books ordered from you.
Not a problem. I'd be happy to send out whatever you want.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Well, I think we're going to close out the evening. Misfit Nation, we are so happy that you could come join us tonight. Again, remember to like and subscribe, and you have a great week. We'll see you next time, and we love you. Thank you for joining us.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Frank.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.